They have indigenous companies. Huawei is very, very strong. They had a record year. They'll very likely, have an extraordinary year coming up.
For 3 years, the story of the US-China chip war has had a simple shape. America builds the best AI chips on Earth, cuts China off from them, and China falls further behind every year. That story just got more complicated. China's Huawei is on track to sell roughly $12 billion worth of AI chips this year, nearly closing the gap with Nvidia's own China revenue for the first time ever. It's doing it with chips that are, by almost every individual measure, worse than America's best. So how is a country making inferior hardware suddenly competitive in the most important technology race on the planet? The answer is a strategy that says the individual chip barely matters anymore. And whether that strategy is actually working is one of the most genuinely disputed questions in the entire tech industry right now. First, the case for why China should be losing badly. Its top domestic chip maker, SMIC, is stuck producing chips using a 7-nanometer class process achieved only through older multi-patterning techniques, because US and allied export controls have cut it off from the extreme ultraviolet lithography machines needed to reach the smaller, more efficient nodes TSMC uses for Nvidia's chips. Huawei's flagship AI chip, the Ascend 910C, delivers roughly 1/3 the raw throughput of Nvidia's B200. An independent analysis from the Council on Foreign Relations found the gap may be even starker in practice. Huawei's 910C reportedly performs about 60% worse than Nvidia's H100 in real-world conditions, despite looking comparable on paper. That same CFR analysis flags something stranger still. According to Huawei's own public roadmap, its next chip generation in 2026 will actually be less powerful than its current best chip. A sign, the analysts argue, that Chinese fabs may be struggling to scale advanced AI chip production at all, and that the performance gap with the US could widen to as much as 17 times by 2027. So here's where it gets interesting, because Huawei isn't trying to out-engineer Nvidia chip for chip. It's trying to make the individual chip irrelevant. Its flagship system, the Cloud Matrix 384, links 384 Ascend 910C chips together into a single high-performance cluster designed to rival Nvidia's most advanced system, the GB200NVL72, which uses just 72 chips to do a comparable job. Huawei is using roughly 5 times as many chips to get there. That only works because of a second advantage: cheap, abundant domestic energy. Running 5 times as many chips costs far more power, and China's electricity costs give it real room to make that trade where American operators, facing tighter power constraints, cannot as easily. Huawei is also deliberately targeting a different part of the AI workload. Instead of chasing the most demanding model training jobs, its newest 950PR chip is explicitly positioned for inference. The cheaper, faster computation that happens every time a deployed AI model actually answers a question, which is a rapidly growing, high-volume market where raw peak performance matters less than cost and availability. And underneath all of it sits a parallel software ecosystem. Mindspore, Huawei's own AI development framework, built as a homegrown alternative to Nvidia's CUDA, meaning Chinese AI companies are increasingly training and running models on a technology stack that doesn't touch American hardware or software at any layer. Quick pause. My team spent weeks cross-checking chip production estimates and analyst reports for this one. If that's worth something to you, hit subscribe. Back to it. The production numbers suggest real momentum. Huawei plans to roughly double its 910C output in 2026 to about 600,000 units, with total Ascend line production reaching as many as 1.6 million dies across its whole chip family this year. China's largest chip makers appear to be diversifying too. Reuters reported in March of 2026 that Huahong Group, China's second largest chip maker, is preparing its own 7-nanometer production line, which would end SMIC's monopoly on advanced domestic manufacturing and reduce the single point of failure that's bottlenecked Huawei's chip supply. There's also a genuinely surprising subplot here. China's own AI labs have been optimizing their models to need less raw compute in the first place. Efficient, lower-cost training approaches that reduce how much of a hardware disadvantage even matters. If the software gets more efficient fast enough, the chip gap becomes a smaller problem to solve. But the CFR's skeptical read isn't going away either. Even under generous production assumptions, their analysis found China would still fall further behind in total computing power available for AI, not catch up, because America's chip advantage compounds and quantity can't fully substitute for it forever. So which read is right? Genuinely, nobody agrees yet. And that's exactly why this is worth watching closely, instead of assuming the outcome is already decided in either direction. The next real test isn't a chip announcement, it's whether Huawei and SMIC can actually hit their 2026 production targets without further disruptions, something the industry's own forecast flag as a real risk given how concentrated Chinese advanced manufacturing still is. Meanwhile, US policy keeps shifting underneath all of this too. Nvidia's H200 chip is now allowed into China under a capped, tariffed, case-by-case licensing regime, which means the competitive picture could look very different again by the time Huawei's next chip generation actually ships. Whatever happens, the assumption that best chip wins no longer fully explains this race, and that shift alone is worth paying attention to. For years, this race was framed as a simple sprint. Whoever builds the fastest chip wins. China's bet is that it's actually a different kind of contest entirely. And if that bet pays off, the entire assumption underneath years of US export control policy gets a lot shakier. We'll be watching how this plays out as 2026 production numbers come in. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.